Hey, what's going on, folks? It's Larry of Pak Masters Dog Training. I want to talk about the issue of making good contact with your e-collars. One of the biggest issues we have, anyone who uses e-collars understands that one of the biggest problems is making good, consistent contact. And without good, consistent contact, you're always going to have problems. Okay, you have to make good contact. Now, people have been using e-collars for a while. Most people know there's little things that have to be done, like keeping the dog's neck brushed out real well. Dead hair will prevent good contact. Most people know that. Most people know that you have to have the e-collar on tight. It has to make good contact. It has to be snug. A lot of people, when they start off, they keep it way too loose. But that's another thing that most people talk about and most people know. It has to be tight. But a couple of tips that will help you make much better contact with the e-collar is, when I see someone put an e-collar on the dog, most people have the dog in front of them in a sitting position, and they put the e-collar on while the dog is sitting in front of them. I prefer to have the dog in a down or standing. Okay, when you have the dog in a down or standing, it puts the neck in a very neutral position. It puts it in a better position to get a true fit with the e-collar. When you have the dog sitting in front of you, the dog tends to look up or it tends to look down. And so what happens is, when the dog's looking up or down and you put the e-collar on and it feels real snug, it feels tight, what happens is the second the dog goes into a neutral position with the neck, it becomes kind of loose. And that's what you don't want. So put the dog in a down or a standing and you're going to get much better fit. Believe me, very important. Another thing, people think if they have a dog that has longer hair or coarse hair, right away they want to go to really long contact points. And just because the contact points are longer doesn't mean they're going to be better. In fact, I very rarely use really long contact points, because what happens with the long contact points is, when you put the collar on the dog, the collar comes straight onto the neck. And with the really long contact points, what happens a lot is, here's your contact points, okay? When you want to make the contact straight to the neck. But with the really long points, a lot of times what happens is, when you go to tighten the e-collar, the points push the receiver down like this or up like this, okay? And you don't want that. You want good straight contact. So a lot of times those really long contact points, this is what they're doing. And then the receiver moves like this. You don't want that. So I very rarely use the really long contact points. In fact, sometimes the shorter ones work even better. With the dogs with really long or thick hair, a lot of times, or also loose skin, the dogs would have a lot of loose skin on the neck, place it high up on the neck, right behind the ear, almost towards the top of the neck. A lot of times that's going to make better contact too, okay? I see a lot of people placing the e-collar right under here, right on the larynx or the voice box right here. Don't do that. Don't do that. For one, you're usually not going to make good contact, and you want it off to one side or the other, all right? But the biggest trick there to make good contact, besides the obvious things that we all know about, is what position the dog is when you're putting that e-collar on. So have the dog in a down or standing in front of you, okay? And you're going to get a much more neutral position on the neck to make a true fit. Oh, and one last thing. When you guys slide the straight end of the strap through the buckle, all right, put it through the buckle, take your fingers, get under that buckle, and pull out all the hair from under the buckle. Make sure there is no hair in the buckle, because, again, it's going to feel tight. But with that hair in the buckle, it's not a true fit. The second the dog moves around, it's going to loosen up, okay? So get your fingers, pull the hair out from underneath the buckle right before you make that final cinch down on the e-collar. And I hope these little tips help make you a lot more consistent with the contact that you're getting on the e-collar, because it's important, guys. You have to have that good, consistent contact, all right? Peace out, folks.